Hello, this is Sergeant Gray. Welcome to my top 10 Pokemon Mysteries Countdown, a countdown of what I consider to be the most intriguing in-game mysteries from the Pokemon video game franchise. This is my first YouTube video ever, so I apologize if its quality and presentation aren't terrific. Please bear with me, I can only improve from here. Before I start the countdown, I should mention that all of its entries concern characters, mythology, and even glitches from only the first generation of Pokemon games. While I have played games from Generation 2, 4, and 5, I skipped Generation 3, and based on the looks of Stunfisk, I think I may have dodged a bullet. It was Generation 1 that first stole my heart as a kid and made me fall in love with the franchise. Also, while all the mysteries in this countdown are somehow related to Generation 1, the incidents that prompted me to think about them could have occurred in later generations. Specifically, I'm talking about in-game events from Pokemon Gold, Silver, and their Generation 4 remakes. Alright, time to cut to the chase. First up is mystery number 10. Number 10. Battle with Professor Oak. In Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, there exists unused data for a battle against Professor Oak. You can have this battle by exploiting the Mew glitch, a famous glitch that I'll let you look up online if you don't already know what it is. In this battle, Professor Oak's team consists of some very, very strong Pokemon, even stronger than Blue's team when you fight him as League Champion. Although this battle ultimately landed on the cutting room floor, I can't help but wonder, what series of events would have led to it if it had been included in the Generation 1 games? Was Professor Oak pissed that you beat his grandson at Indigo Plateau? Did he simply want to test your skills for himself? Or was he hoping to recapture the glory of his youth when he was a trainer instead of a researcher? Here's hoping that, if Red and Blue are ever remade, the battle against Professor Oak is included, so that I can put my suspicions to rest. Number 9. The official in-game explanation for Missingnal. Missingnal. Possibly the greatest glitch in any game ever. This monstrosity of a thing can be encountered in the Generation 1 games if you follow a small series of steps that involve a grouchy old man in Viridian City and the eastern coastline of Cinnabar Island. Now, I realize that Missingnal is nothing more than a glitch. It does not exist within the canon of the games, and is never referenced at any point by any character. But can you imagine if it was? I mean, whether it's a glitch or not, the fact remains that Red can encounter it in a world that he, as a character, would find very real. So, although this may be a hypothetical mystery, what would the official in-game explanation for Missingnal be if one was ever provided? I mean, can you imagine if Red ran into this thing and then tried to explain to Blue, Professor Oak, or even his mom what he had seen? They would probably send him straight to a therapist. Come to think of it, maybe that's why Red ducked away to Mount Silver before the events of Generation 2. Seeing Missingnal probably shattered his sanity into itty-bitty pieces. The poor kid. Number 8. Who abandoned Eevee? In Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, you can acquire an Eevee in Celadon City. Just enter the back door of the condominiums building, go to the top floor, and check out the Pokeball lying on the table. Congratulations, you have an Eevee. But why? Who would leave such an adorable little Pokemon, with so much evolutionary potential, lying on a table in downtown Celadon City? It seems cruel. It also seems stupid, since Eevee is an ultra-rare Pokemon that can't be encountered in the wild. If its owner was really so eager to get rid of it, why not sell or trade it? Oh well, at least it gets a good trainer in Red, not to mention a possible future career as a poster child for the Pokemon equivalent of the SPCA. On a related note, Number 7. Where did Pikachu come from? In Pokemon Yellow, as in most other Pokemon titles, the playable character, Red, attempts to leave his hometown by setting foot in the tall grass of Route 1. A wild Pokemon, which just so happens to be Pikachu, immediately shows up. Professor Oak comes to your rescue, catches Pikachu, and later gives it to you as your starter. Reminiscent of the Pikachu from the Pokemon anime series, this Pikachu refuses to stay in its Pokeball, and instead follows you around on foot. Cool, right? But I can't help but wonder where this unusual Pikachu came from in the first place. How did it get onto Route 1? If this was Pokemon Red or Blue, it could be argued that it had wandered away from Viridian Forest, where wild Pikachus can occasionally be encountered. However, this is not Pokemon Red or Blue. In fact, your starter Pikachu is the only one you can encounter in the entire game. So, where did it come from? I would love to get a bit of backstory for this little guy. Number 6. What happened to Blue's Raticate? Alright, you can roll your eyes now. Get it out of your system. Done? Good. I know this mystery has been talked to death over the years, but I couldn't make this countdown without including it somewhere. In Pokemon Red and Blue, when you battle Blue on board the SS Anne, a level 16 Raticate is included in his team roster. The next time you encounter Blue is in the Pokemon Tower in Lavender Town, a place where deceased Pokemon are laid to rest. Blue asks what brought you there, as none of your Pokemon, quote-unquote, look dead. Many fans have surmised that this is a giveaway line that insinuates that Blue would only visit the Pokemon Tower if he, himself, had a dead Pokemon to mourn. Since Raticate is no longer a part of his team, many fans speculate that it perished as a result of your battle on board the SS Anne. Yep, apparently you are a Pokemon murderer. Personally, while I don't believe this theory, I must admit that it can't be proven 100% false. So, does the fate of Blue's Raticate have anything to do with him visiting the Pokemon Tower? I don't know, but I think I'm going to steer well clear of mute kids on ships from now on, just to be safe. Number 5. Lieutenant Surge's War. First of all, if I slip and say Lieutenant Surge, I'm apologize. Lieutenant is what we call it here in Canada. Please forgive my Canuck grammar. Anyway, in Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, when you go to the Vermilion City Gym and challenge Lieutenant Surge, he claims that electric Pokemon saved him during the war. My question is this: what war? The sign outside his gym dubs him the Lightning American. According to the half-assed Wikipedia research I did for this video, his background as an American soldier means that he could have participated in the Vietnam War. After all, based on his sprite design, I would peg Lieutenant Surge as a man either in or approaching his early 40s. The Vietnam War concluded in 1975, and the original release date of the Generation 1 Pokemon games occurred in 1996 in Japan. So, perhaps Lieutenant Surge enlisted shortly after high school and served as a young soldier in Vietnam in the early 70s. However, fan theories abound that he may have participated in a different kind of war, a badass Pokemon war, one that engulfed the world of Pokemon in utter chaos. If this was the case, it would explain several things: the permeating absence of grown men throughout the Kanto region, the overdependence of Kanto's economy on Pokemon goods and medicine. After all, when war grips a nation, the weapons industry, in this case the weapons being Pokemon, quickly assumes center stage. And the fact that the region Red inhabits is completely closed in. Seriously, try surfing in the open sea and you will discover that giant rocks bar your path. In fact, the only means of leaving Kanto in Generation 1 seems to be the SS Anne, which only leaves port once per year. Could the closed-in nature of the Kanto region be due to a paranoid government, fearful of the enemy nations that surround it in a post-war era? Or, maybe it's the technical restrictions that were imposed on the game designers. Either or. Number 4. Did Giovanni commit suicide? In Pokemon Heart Gold and Soul Silver, it is possible for players to take a trip back in time, thanks to the legendary Pokemon named Celebi. I believe this event is only accessible if you received a Celebi as part of a real-life Nintendo promotion. To be honest, I'm not sure how it works, but it reminds me of downloadable content. Anyway, while in the past, you can meet Giovanni at the height of Tojo Falls and defeat him in a Pokemon battle. Giovanni is plagued with guilt and inferiority after Red single-handedly took down Team Rocket in the Kanto region, and Ethan, or Lyra, depending on who you picked at the beginning of the game, did the same in the Johto region. He is also undoubtedly haunted by his shortcomings as a father to the Generation 2 rival, Silver, whom he abandoned as a child. After you defeat him, Giovanni utters a few words about generally sucking at life, and then leaves the area. Next, splash. Wait, did you hear that correctly? Yes, Giovanni splashes into the waterfall after you defeat him, and none of his Pokemon know the waterfall move. This leaves one distinct possibility: that a depressed and disenfranchised Giovanni committed suicide after having his ass handed to him by yet another heroic little kid. While this may sound dark for a video game franchise geared toward children, the creators of Pokemon have been known to include some pretty dark stuff in the series before. Just look up Drifloon's favorite pastime if you want an example. Number 3. Is Red a spirit in Pokemon Gold and Silver? In Pokemon Gold and Silver, after you defeat the 8 gym leaders of the Kanto region, you can climb Mount Silver. At its height, in a great nostalgic twist, awaits a familiar face, Red from the original Pokemon games. His team of Pokemon is incredibly strong, but if you manage to defeat him, then he doesn't do anything. In fact, he simply disappears. Many fans, including myself, I admit, wonder if this means that Red might be a spirit in Pokemon Gold and Silver. Speaking to his mother in Pallet Town reveals that he has not returned home for ages and has also not picked up the phone to call her. Lending further credence to this theory is the fact that there are no real resources for any human being, let alone a child, to survive in the depths of Mount Silver. There's no food, the hailstorm outside seemingly never lets up, and wild Pokemon are crawling around everywhere. Where could Red sleep that would possibly be safe? Is he really that much of a badass? Personally, I wonder if Red passed away at some point between the events of Generations 1 and 2, and now his spirit resides at the top of Mount Silver, the highest point it could find, waiting for somebody to succeed him as the world's most powerful trainer. Only then can his spirit finally ascend to heaven. Let's just hope for his mom's sake that Pokemon champions get good life insurance benefits. Number 2. Who is Red's father? First of all, let me tell you that I was originally going to make this number 1. However, I like the number 1 I ended up picking more, so second place will have to do. In Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, Red's father is referenced a grand total of once. When you examine the Super Nintendo Entertainment System, or SNES, in the Celadon City department store, a dialogue box declares that, quote, "Dad would love this," end quote. Clearly, this suggests that Red's father is alive and kicking somewhere. So, who is he? As I understand it, the same mystery remains unsolved for Red's anime counterpart, Ash Ketchum. Both Red and Ash live with their mothers in Pallet Town before embarking on their Pokemon journeys, but the question of their paternity is never addressed. Personally, I have a feeling that this is because Satoshi Tajiri, the creator of Pokemon, is the true father of these characters. Perhaps the storyline writers omitted a father figure from the game in Tajiri-san's honor. Other possibilities range from the plausible. For example, perhaps Red's father's Giovanni and Red's mother relocated to Pallet Town in order to avoid Red being influenced by Giovanni's criminal ways, to the absurd. Perhaps Red is a robot manufactured by Professor Oak to soullessly seek and catch every Pokemon in existence. Another possible explanation is that Red's father died or went missing during the Pokemon War that I discussed in Mystery Number 5, and Red is simply in denial that he will someday return. Either way, the identity of Red's father is truly one of the best kept secrets in the history of the Pokemon franchise. And on a related note, what about Blue's parents? Who and where are they? Finally, it's time for the last and what I consider the most intriguing mystery in the Pokemon video game franchise. The truck. In Pokemon Red, Blue, and Yellow, if you go to the SS Anne and exploit a number of loopholes or possibly hack, you can surf to the right of the platform that you use to board the SS Anne. And there it sits, staring at you with its beady little pixels. A truck. A stupid, evil, alright, maybe not evil, but a stupid truck. To this day, I have no clue why it's there. How did it get there? Did it drive across the water? Did the SS Anne deposit it there and then sail over to the dock? Who owns it? What is it meant to carry? What about its model and year? This stupid truck has always nagged away at me, ever since I learned about it. Rumors used to circulate that Mew resided in a Pokeball beneath the truck, but they have since been proven false. With no way to move the truck or interact with it, not to mention the fact that you can't even see it unless you surf to the right of the dock, a feat in itself that requires way too much work to ever be considered intuitive, it remains an utter mystery why the truck is there at all. In my opinion, its sheer simplicity and randomness make the truck the single greatest in-game mystery in the Pokemon video game franchise. There you have it, my top 10 list of Pokemon mysteries. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Please feel free to leave comments and let me know what you think about these in-game mysteries. If you have a suggestion for another gaming-related video, I would love to hear it. Until next time, this is Sergeant Gray. Have a good one.